Reality is not as fixed as you've been led to believe. This audiobook reveals the shift, a hidden truth that allows you to reshape your life at will. Your beliefs are the lens through which reality forms, and once you learn to adjust that lens, you unlock limitless possibilities. The Shift. Introduction. In the depths of ancient wisdom lies a truth so transformative that those who discover it find themselves forever changed. This truth, the power of the shift, exists not in dusty tomes or secret scrolls, but within the very fabric of your being, waiting to be awakened. You have felt its presence in those quiet moments when time seems to stand still, in those fleeting instances when reality appears more fluid than fixed. These are not mere coincidences or flights of fancy. They are glimpses of your true nature as a creator of reality. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, operates through immutable laws that transcend time and space. The most powerful among these is the law of consciousness, the understanding that your inner world shapes your outer reality. This is not metaphor, but the very mechanism through which existence manifests itself. The shift occurs when you recognize that you are not merely an observer of reality, but its author. Every thought, every belief, every emotion you hold creates ripples in the cosmic fabric, drawing to you experiences that match your inner state. This is not wishful thinking. It is the science of consciousness itself. Think of reality as a vast ocean of possibilities, with your awareness acting as the lens that brings certain possibilities into focus, while letting others fade into the background. The shift is your ability to adjust this lens at will, to tune into the frequency of your desired reality until it becomes your lived experience. You have always possessed this power, though perhaps without knowing it. Every achievement, every joy, every moment of synchronicity in your life has been a demonstration of this principle in action. The time has come to move from unconscious creation to conscious mastery. The knowledge you are about to receive has been guarded by sages and mystics throughout the ages, not because it was meant to remain hidden, but because it awaited those ready to wield its power with wisdom and purpose. You have been drawn to these words because you are prepared to embrace this truth and step into your role as a conscious creator of reality. Part 1. Awakening the Shift Within. Chapter 1. The Illusion of the Fixed World. In the quiet hours before dawn, Lillian sat at her weathered kitchen table, her hands wrapped around a cup of tea grown cold. Her eyes fixed upon an ancient leather-bound tome she had discovered in her grandmother's attic. As she opened its crackling pages, golden letters seemed to shimmer in the dim light, revealing secrets that would shatter her understanding of reality. The world you perceive as solid and unchangeable exists as energy in constant motion. What appears fixed is merely a dance of particles responding to the music of consciousness. Your beliefs act as the conductor of this cosmic orchestra, directing reality's flow according to your deepest convictions. When you gaze upon a mountain, you see permanence incarnate. Yet even this mighty formation shifts and changes over eons, responding to forces both seen and unseen. Your life, your circumstances, your very identity. These too are not carved in stone, but are as fluid as water, taking the shape of its container. The container in this instance is your perception. Your thoughts and beliefs create the mold into which reality flows. Change the container, and reality reshapes itself accordingly. This is not magic, but the fundamental nature of existence itself. In the markets of an ancient city lived Henry, a craftsman whose hands had always trembled when working with fine materials. For years he believed himself cursed with imprecision, watching helplessly as his creations fell short of his vision. Then one morning, as he sat before his workbench, he questioned this long-held truth about himself. What if steadiness flows from certainty, and he wondered. In that moment, he chose to see himself anew, not as a man fighting against his nature, but as one whose hands could channel divine creativity. Within days, his work transformed. His pieces began to sing with an elegance that drew admirers from across the land. Nothing in his physical world had changed, save the lens through which he viewed himself. Like Henry, you too have crafted stories about what is possible or impossible in your life. These stories have solidified into beliefs so strong they appear as unmovable as mountain stone, yet they are but thoughts, repeated until they gain the weight of truth. Sacred practice, the mirror of assumptions. Find a quiet space where you can be undisturbed. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Begin to examine the beliefs you hold about yourself and your reality. For each area of your life, relationships, abundance, health, purpose, ask yourself, what do I believe is unchangeable? What limitations have I accepted as truth? Write these beliefs in your journal. Beside each one, pen the words, "This too is fluid. This too can shift." Feel the freedom in knowing that what you once thought permanent is but a temporary configuration of infinite possibility. Chapter 2: The Moment of Awareness. In the bustling city streets, Walter clutched his notepad, approaching the humble dwelling where the mystic awaited. His mind already brimmed with cynical questions, each designed to expose what he presumed would be yet another spiritual charlatan. The door opened before his knock could land. "You arrived precisely when your thoughts led you here," the aged mystic spoke, his eyes twinkling with knowing wisdom. Through the hours that followed, Walter's carefully constructed skepticism began to crack. The mystic spoke not of mystical powers or supernatural feats, but of something far more revolutionary, the patterns of thought that shaped Walter's every experience. You see, awareness acts as the lamp that illuminates the dark corridors of consciousness. Until you shine this light upon your thoughts, they move like shadows in the night, directing your path without your knowledge. Every circumstance you face, every recurring challenge, every persistent pattern, these are but echoes of unconscious beliefs playing out in the theater of your life. The mystic guided Walter to examine his own story, how his childhood belief in scarcity had manifested in perpetual financial struggle, how his fear of abandonment had created distance in every relationship. In one crystalline moment, Walter saw with stunning clarity. His life had been but a reflection of thoughts he never knew he carried. This truth extends to you as well. Your reality shifts not through force or struggle, but through the simple yet profound act of becoming aware. When you shine the light of consciousness upon your thoughts, you break their spell. The power they held over you dissolves in the presence of awareness. In a small village lived Martha, a seamstress whose days followed an unchanging rhythm of toil and worry. Each evening she would count her meager earnings, wondering why prosperity eluded her. One day, while threading her needle, she noticed her hands trembling with familiar anxiety about money. In that moment of noticing, something shifted. She saw for the first time how her thoughts of lack had stitched themselves into every aspect of her life. With this awareness came choice. She could continue the pattern or thread a new story. Day by day, she learned to catch her thoughts of scarcity and replace them with visions of abundance. Her business flourished not through external change, but through this inner transformation. Sacred practice, the watchman's mirror. Set aside 3 moments each day, morning, noon, and night. For 5 minutes, become the watchman of your thoughts. Observe them as they pass, like clouds across the sky. Notice their patterns, their repetitions, their familiar paths. When you catch a thought that limits you, pause. Take a deep breath. Say to yourself, "I see you, old pattern. You no longer guide my path." In this acknowledgement lies the seed of transformation. Chapter 3. Everything is energy, including you. In a small workshop lined with timepieces, Arthur sat hunched over his workbench, each tick-tock a reminder of time's relentless march. His fingers, once steady, now trembled as he adjusted the delicate mechanisms before him. The weight of missed opportunities and passing years hung heavy in the air. A gentle knock interrupted his brooding. At his door stood a traveler, whose presence seemed to defy the very mechanics Arthur had spent his life mastering. "Time," the traveler said, "is not what you believe it to be. The universal force that moves through all things manifests in countless forms, as solid matter, as flowing thought, as vibrating energy. Time itself is but another expression of this force, expanding or contracting according to the energy you hold within. When you understand that everything is energy in motion, you begin to sense the fluid nature of reality. Your thoughts emit frequencies that ripple through the fabric of existence. Your emotions generate waves that shape the world around you. Even the solid objects you touch are, at their core, dancing particles of light and energy." Arthur watched in amazement as the traveler demonstrated how his own perception of time shifted with his emotional state. In moments of joy and wonder, time seemed to expand. In fear and resistance, it constricted. The clock's steady rhythm remained unchanged, yet Arthur's experience of each moment transformed according to his inner state. In a distant valley lived Ruth, whose days were shadowed by circumstance. Each morning, she would wake to the same struggles, the same limitations, the same heavy heart. Until one dawn, something stirred within her, a recognition that her despair carried its own frequency, drawing more of the same into her life. With this understanding, Ruth began to shift her energy. She learned to attune herself to gratitude, even in the midst of challenge. She practiced feeling the abundance she wished to experience, rather than the lack she feared. Gradually, her reality began to mirror this inner transformation. Opportunities appeared, relationships healed, and her life took on a new vibration. Sacred practice. The energy dance. Find a quiet space where you can be undisturbed. Close your eyes and bring awareness to your current emotional state. Feel its texture, its frequency, its vibration in your body. Now recall a moment of pure joy or deep gratitude. Let this feeling fill your being. Notice how your energy shifts, how your body responds, how the very air around you seems to change quality. Throughout your day, pause to sense the vibration you're emanating. When you encounter challenge, remember, you can choose to shift your frequency. Your reality will respond in harmony with the energy you hold. Chapter 4. The Quantum Field and the Infinite Possibilities. In the stillness of night, Benjamin stood beneath the vast expanse of stars, his telescope pointed toward the infinite. For years, he had mapped the movements of celestial bodies, finding comfort in their predictable patterns. Yet on this night, as he gazed into the depths of space, something shifted in his perception. Through his lens, he witnessed a star seemingly existing in 2 places at once, a phenomenon that defied everything he understood about the physical world. In that moment, the veil between worlds grew thin, and Benjamin glimpsed the truth that ancient mystics have known. Reality is not singular, but infinite. You too stand at the threshold of this understanding. The world you perceive is but one thread in an infinite tapestry of possibility. Every choice, every thought, every moment branches into countless paths, all existing simultaneously in the quantum field of pure potential. Like waves in an endless ocean, these parallel realities flow and merge, each one as real as the next. Your consciousness is the observer, the chooser, the navigator of these infinite streams of possibility. Through your attention and intention, you select which reality becomes your experience. Eleanor taught at the same school for 20 years, each day a mirror of the last. Her life felt like a single track, moving in one inevitable direction. Then she discovered an ancient manuscript that spoke of the power of parallel possibilities. As she read, Eleanor understood that her current life was not her only option. It was merely the reality she had unconsciously chosen to observe. With this wisdom, she began to sense the presence of other versions of herself, the Eleanor who had pursued her dreams of writing, the Eleanor who had moved to the coast, the Eleanor who had started her own school. Instead of seeing these as mere fantasies, she recognized them as genuine possibilities, existing now in parallel dimensions. By shifting her consciousness, her point of observation, she could step into any of these realities. Day by day, she aligned herself with the version of life she truly desired, watching in wonder as her reality transformed to match her chosen timeline. Sacred practice, the quantum mirror. Sit in perfect stillness and close your eyes. Breathe deeply as you center your awareness in the present moment. Now imagine before you stands a vast mirror, not one that reflects your physical form, but one that shows the infinite versions of your life. See yourself as you are now, then allow the image to ripple like water. Watch as other versions of your life become visible. Versions where different choices were made, different paths taken. Feel the aliveness of each possibility. Choose one of these alternate realities that calls to you. Step closer to the mirror and feel the energy of this version of your life. Notice its vibration, its essence. Breathe it in. Know that this reality exists now, waiting for you to align with it. Chapter 5. The Observer Effect. In the dimly lit chess club, Harold sat before the board, his fingers hovering over a knight. For 30 years he had played the same way, analyzing, calculating, forcing his will upon each match. Yet tonight, something was different. You see, as Harold relaxed his grip on control, he noticed how the game responded to his inner state. When his thoughts dwelled on defeat, the pieces seemed trapped, cornered. But as his focus shifted to possibility, new patterns emerged on the board as if by magic. The universe operates much like Harold's chess game. Your attention is a force of creation, shaping the very fabric of existence. What you observe, you bring into being. This is not mere philosophy. It is the fundamental nature of reality itself. Each moment presents infinite possibilities, yet only those you focus upon take form. Your dominant thoughts are like hands molding clay, giving shape to the formless potential that surrounds you. The world you experience is not happening to you, it is responding to you. Violet worked in a small accounting firm, her days filled with numbers and deadlines. Each morning her thoughts centered on the weight of responsibility, the pressure of expectations, and each day the universe faithfully reflected these thoughts back to her. Then she discovered the ancient wisdom of directed attention. Instead of dwelling on limitations, she began focusing on opportunities for growth. Rather than seeing herself as trapped in her role, she envisioned herself as a valued advisor, helping others build their dreams. As her attention shifted, reality reshaped itself accordingly. New clients sought her counsel. Opportunities for advancement appeared. The very nature of her work transformed, not because the world changed, but because she changed what she observed within it. Sacred practice, the Creator's gaze. Choose one day to become fully conscious of your thought patterns. From the moment you wake, observe where your attention naturally flows. When you notice yourself focusing on limitation or lack, gently redirect your gaze toward abundance and possibility. Keep a small notebook with you. Every hour, pause and write down your dominant thought. Ask yourself, is this thought creating what I desire? If not, consciously choose a new focus that aligns with your highest vision. Remember, you are not fighting against negative thoughts, but rather selecting which thoughts to empower with your attention. Like Harold at his chessboard, you will discover that reality moves in harmony with your chosen focus. Chapter 6. The Secret Gateway. In a small cottage at the edge of town lived Franklin, his cherished violin gathering dust in the corner. For years he had set aside his passion, believing the time for dreams had passed. One evening, drawn by an inexplicable force, he lifted the instrument to his chin. You must understand that emotions are not merely responses to life. They are the very language through which you communicate with the universe. As Franklin drew his bow across the strings, he closed his eyes and allowed himself to feel the warmth of stage lights, the anticipation of an audience, the surge of joy as music flowed through him. In that moment, he wasn't just playing, he was becoming. Your emotions are the bridge between thought and manifestation. When you truly feel the reality you desire, you activate a resonance that draws that reality to you. This is not wishful thinking, but rather the application of an ancient principle. The universe responds not to what you think, but to what you feel. Consider how a seed knows to become a tree. It doesn't think about branches or leaves. It simply feels its way toward what it already is in potential. You too possess this innate wisdom. Your emotions are the soil in which new realities take root. Mabel understood this truth. Night after night, she sat in her garden, allowing herself to feel the presence of deep love. She didn't merely imagine a relationship, she became the embodiment of being loved. She felt the warmth of companionship, the joy of shared laughter, the peace of belonging. She didn't chase these feelings, she lived them. As she aligned her emotional frequency with the love she sought, the universe began orchestrating events that matched her inner state. Her reality shifted not because she found love, but because she became love itself. Sacred practice, the feeling embodiment. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Now, select the reality you wish to step into. Instead of visualizing it, feel it. Let every cell of your body vibrate with the emotion of already having what you desire. If it's abundance you seek, feel the peace of financial freedom. If it's health, feel the vitality coursing through your body. If it's love, feel your heart expanding with connection. Spend 20 minutes each day saturating yourself in these feelings. Remember, you're not pretending or forcing these emotions. You're allowing yourself to resonate with what is already yours in the infinite field of possibility. Like Franklin with his violin, let the music of your desired reality play through you until it becomes your natural state of being. Chapter 7. Breaking Free from the Past Timeline. In a dimly lit workshop filled with the gentle ticking of timepieces, Gordon sat hunched over his workbench. For 40 years he had repaired the same mechanisms, lived the same routines, told himself the same story of who he was. Each morning he would wind the grandfather clock that had belonged to his father. carrying forward a legacy of precision and predictability. You hold onto your past as Gordon held onto his watches, with careful precision, maintaining every detail, keeping time locked in familiar patterns. Yet time itself is not a straight line, but a spiral of infinite possibility. Your past exists only because you remember it into being moment by moment, thought by thought. The universe knows no time, it knows only the eternal now, where all possibilities exist simultaneously. When you clutch tightly to who you were, you continue to create who you are from the blueprint of what has been. Your memories are not fixed records, but living energy that you activate with your attention. Gordon discovered this truth when a mysterious customer brought in a watch that seemed to run backward. As he examined its impossible movement, he realized that time itself was as fluid as the thoughts that measured it. His identity as the serious, solitary watchmaker was not carved in stone. It was a choice he made anew each day. In the village square lived Ida, whose days had been colored by grief since her husband's passing. Each morning, she would visit his favorite bench, reliving memories that anchored her to sorrow. But one dawn, as she watched the sun paint the sky in colors she had forgotten to notice, she understood. Her past was alive only because she breathed life into it with every remembrance. Instead of walking to the bench that day, she turned toward the morning market. With each step away from her familiar path, she felt the timeline of her life shift. She chose to remember her husband's laughter instead of his absence, his love for life instead of its end. As she released her identity as a widow, a new version of herself emerged, one who carried joy as her heritage. Sacred practice, the timeline release. Gather these items: paper, pen, and a fireproof vessel. In solitude, write down the version of yourself you're ready to release, the stories, the labels, the memories that have defined you. Be specific about the identities you've outgrown. As you write, know that these words represent not just memories, but the energy patterns that have shaped your reality. When complete, speak these words aloud. I honor what has been, but choose now to live unbound by time's illusion. Then with reverence, burn the paper. Watch as the flames transform your written past into ash, symbolizing the release of old timelines. Let the heat of transformation remind you that every moment offers a new beginning, unwritten and free. Chapter 8. Parallel Realities in Your Infinite Selves. In the vast expanse of the ocean, where waves whisper ancient secrets to those who listen, Douglas steered his vessel through waters untraveled. Lost in a mysterious fog, he found himself approaching an island that appeared on no map, an isle that seemed to exist in two places at once, shimmering between realities like a mirage made solid. As he drew closer, Douglas witnessed something extraordinary. On one shore, he saw himself as a weathered fisherman, living a life of quiet simplicity. On the opposite beach stood another version, himself as a prosperous merchant captain commanding a fleet of ships. The island existed as a crossing point between these two realities, showing him that both versions were equally real, equally true. You, like Douglas, stand at such a crossing point in every moment. The version of you that has already achieved your deepest aspirations exists now, breathing the same air, walking beneath the same sun. This other self is not a future possibility, but a present reality, separated only by the thinnest veil of consciousness. The law of parallel existence reveals that all versions of you exist simultaneously. The successful you, the abundant you, the deeply fulfilled you. These are not distant dreams, but current realities playing out in parallel to your present awareness. Your task is not to create these versions, but to step into alignment with them. In a bustling city market, Beatrice sold flowers from her small cart, dreaming of owning the grand flower shop across the street. Each morning, she would gaze at its windows, imagining herself arranging exotic blooms in its spacious interior. One day, she understood. The Beatrice who owned that shop already existed. She needed only to align herself with that reality. She began making decisions as that version of herself would make them. She carried herself with the dignity of a successful business owner. She spoke with the confidence of someone who had already achieved her dreams. Within months, circumstances aligned in unexpected ways, and she found herself holding the keys to not just the flower shop, but a chain of botanical boutiques. Sacred practice, the reality bridge. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and breathe deeply, allowing your awareness to expand beyond your current circumstances. Envision yourself standing on a bridge. Before you lies the version of reality where you have already manifested your deepest desires. Feel the presence of that version of you not as a future possibility, but as a current reality. Notice how they move, how they think, how they make decisions. Now, make a decisive commitment to step fully into that timeline. Speak these words with unwavering conviction. I acknowledge and step into the version of myself who has already achieved what I desire. As I walk forward, I merge with that reality, accepting it as my present truth. From this moment forward, make every choice as though you are already that version of yourself, for in truth, you are. Chapter 9. Mental Reprogramming. In the depths of his laboratory, Ezekiel peered through his microscope, studying the behavior of cells under different environmental conditions. For years, he had observed how these microscopic organisms responded to various stimuli, but what caught his attention was something far more mysterious. The cells seemed to react differently when he himself was in different emotional states. You hold within you a power far greater than you realize. Like Ezekiel's discovery, your subconscious mind shapes the very fabric of your reality, operating beneath the surface of your awareness. This hidden force, this silent architect of your experience, works tirelessly to manifest the world that matches your deepest beliefs. The subconscious does not distinguish between what you desire and what you fear. It simply responds to the patterns imprinted upon it. When you understand this truth, you begin to see how every circumstance in your life reflects these invisible blueprints. In the realm of the subconscious, every thought leaves an impression. Every belief creates a groove through which reality flows. Your financial situation, your relationships, your health, all mirror the programs running beneath your conscious awareness. Charlotte, a talented artist, lived in a constant state of financial uncertainty. Though her work was exceptional, abundance always seemed just out of reach. One day, while organizing her studio, she uncovered childhood drawings where she had sketched money flowing away, accompanied by phrases like, "Money is hard to keep," and "artists must struggle." In that moment, she understood her subconscious had been faithfully creating the reality these beliefs demanded. With this awareness, she began a deliberate practice of rewiring these deep-seated patterns. Each night before sleep, when the conscious mind grows quiet and the subconscious becomes receptive, she would immerse herself in new visions of abundance. Sacred practice, the twilight reprogramming. As you prepare for sleep each night, enter the sacred space between wakefulness and dreams. This is the threshold where the subconscious mind opens to new possibilities. Lie comfortably and take 3 deep breaths. With each exhale, Feel yourself sinking deeper into a state of peaceful receptivity. Imagine a gentle golden light washing through your mind, dissolving old patterns and beliefs. Speak these words softly, allowing them to sink into the depths of your being. I now release all limiting beliefs about your desire. I am naturally aligned with abundance and success. My subconscious mind now creates patterns of infinite possibility. What I desire flows to me easily and naturally. Repeat these affirmations until you drift into sleep, knowing that your subconscious mind is being reprogrammed with each breath. Chapter 10. The Sacred Decision. At the edge of the ancient forest stood Clara, her paintbrush suspended in midair as two distinct paths stretched before her. One led through familiar territory, the well-worn route she had traveled countless times. The other wound into uncharted wilderness, beckoning with whispers of possibility. You stand at such a crossroads in every moment, though your eyes may not perceive it as clearly as Clara did that day. The universe presents infinite pathways, each leading to a different version of your life. Yet the power to step into a new reality lies not in the paths themselves, but in the unwavering clarity of your choice. When you choose with absolute conviction, the universe responds. It is not enough to merely wish for a different life. You must decide with such certainty that every fiber of your being aligns with this choice. This is the hidden mechanism behind all reality shifts. Absolute unconditional decision. In the moment Clara chose the unknown path, her entire world transformed. Not because the path itself held magic, but because her decision carried the power of complete commitment. She had crossed an invisible threshold in her mind, and reality had no choice but to reshape itself around her new choice. Nathaniel was a merchant who had lived his entire life in safety, trading in predictable goods that brought modest returns. Each morning, he would gaze at the ships leaving harbor, carrying bold traders to distant lands. One dawn, as he watched the vessels depart, something within him shifted. He made a decision so complete, so irrevocable, that the very air around him seemed to vibrate with new possibility. He sold his small shop that very day. The moment he committed fully to his new path, opportunities appeared as if they had been waiting for his decision all along. Within months, his new trading venture had surpassed all his previous years of careful commerce. Sacred choice ritual. Find a quiet space where you will not be disturbed. Light a candle representing the illumination of your chosen path. Stand with your feet firmly planted on the ground. Feel the earth supporting your choice. Take 3 deep breaths, allowing each exhale to clear away hesitation. Speak aloud. I now choose. State your new reality with absolute clarity and conviction. I release all other possibilities, knowing this choice creates my new reality. Take a physical step forward, crossing an invisible threshold. As your foot touches the ground, know that you have stepped into your new timeline. Complete this ritual by taking one tangible action, no matter how small, that aligns with your chosen reality. Write it down, seal it with the date, and keep it as a testament to the moment you chose your new path. Part 2. Activating the Shift. Chapter 11. The Energy Ritual. In a small village among rolling hills, Harrison worked tirelessly at his forge, hammering metal day after day. Though skilled in his craft, his creations had begun to feel lifeless, lacking the spark that once made them extraordinary. One morning, as dawn painted the sky in gentle hues, a wandering sage appeared at his workshop. The sage watched Harrison struggle with a particularly stubborn piece of metal. Before you can shape the external, you must first tend to the internal forge, the sage said softly. Your inner world creates your outer reality. You too must understand this fundamental truth. Every external manifestation begins within. Just as a blacksmith must prepare his forge before crafting metal, you must first cleanse and align your inner space before shifting into a new reality. Your thoughts, emotions, and energy patterns create the template for what manifests in your life. When these internal elements are cluttered or misaligned, they distort the reality you wish to create. Like a mirror covered in dust, your inner world must be polished before it can reflect your desired reality clearly. Evelyn, a promising writer, found herself trapped in an endless cycle of creative blockage. Her words felt hollow, her stories refused to flow, and her dreams of authorship seemed to slip further away with each passing day. Until one evening she discovered an ancient manuscript that spoke of energy alignment rituals. Before touching her pen to paper each morning, Evelyn began clearing her energy field. She would sit in silence, breathing deeply, allowing old thoughts and stagnant emotions to dissolve like morning mist. Only when her inner space felt pure and aligned would she begin to write. Within weeks, her words began to flow with renewed vitality, and her stories touched readers in ways she had never imagined possible. Sacred Morning Alignment Practice. As the first light touches the horizon, find a quiet space. Sit with your spine straight, feet planted firmly on the ground. Place your hands on your heart center. Begin with 3 cleansing breaths. Inhale deeply through your nose, imagining pure light filling your being. Exhale forcefully through your mouth, releasing all that no longer serves your chosen reality. Now speak these words with quiet authority. I release all energies that do not align with my highest path. I clear my inner space to receive the reality I choose. Visualize a golden light spiraling through your body, dissolving any resistance or old patterns. Feel your energy field becoming crystal clear, perfectly aligned with your chosen reality. Complete this practice by placing your hands on the earth, grounding your newly aligned energy into physical form. Chapter 12, Embodiment. In a bustling theater district, Margaret stood before her dressing room mirror, studying the script for her most challenging role yet. The director had given her an unusual instruction. She was to live as her character, a confident, successful businesswoman, not just on stage but in every moment of her life for the next month. You hold within you infinite versions of yourself, each waiting to step onto the stage of your life. The version you embody shapes the reality you experience. This truth lies at the heart of reality shifting. You must become the self who already exists in your desired reality. Your current life circumstances reflect the self you have been embodying. To shift into a new reality, you must fully inhabit the energy, thoughts, and actions of your future self. This is not pretense or mere acting. It is conscious embodiment of a version of you that already exists. When Margaret began living as her character, she noticed subtle shifts. Her posture straightened naturally, her voice carried more authority, and her decisions became swift and certain. Soon, opportunities that would have intimidated her previous self began flowing effortlessly. The line between Margaret and her character blurred until they became one. She had stepped fully into a new version of herself. Theodore, a struggling shopkeeper, discovered this same principle through necessity. His small store teetered on the edge of closure until he learned about embodying prosperity consciousness. Instead of worrying about scarcity, he began moving through his day as though abundance was his natural state. He arranged his modest inventory with the same care a luxury boutique owner would display precious goods. He greeted each customer as though they were entering the finest establishment in town. Within weeks, the energy of his store transformed. Customers sensed the shift, staying longer, purchasing more. Theodore had not simply acted prosperous. He had become prosperity itself. Future self-embodiment practice. Choose one full day to live as your future self. Begin the moment you wake. Move, speak, and make decisions as this evolved version of you would. How does your future self begin their morning? What thoughts occupy their mind? How do they carry themselves through space? What choices do they make about their time, their energy, their resources? Throughout the day, pause periodically and ask, how would my future self handle this situation? Then act from that consciousness without hesitation. Notice the subtle shifts in your energy as you fully embody this version of yourself. This is not role-playing. It is stepping into the reality where this self already exists. Chapter 13, The Frequency Lock. In a dimly lit workshop filled with radio equipment, Lewis sat hunched over his workbench, fingers delicately adjusting the dials of an antique radio. Night after night, he noticed a peculiar pattern. When he found the perfect frequency for a distant station, the slightest movement would send the signal back into static. You have experienced this same phenomenon in your reality shifts. The moment you align with a new frequency, a new version of your life, the old patterns attempt to pull you back. This is the natural resistance that occurs when stepping into an expanded state of being. Think of your consciousness as a radio receiver. When you first tune into a new station, a new reality, the signal may seem weak, unstable. This is not because the station isn't broadcasting strongly. It's because your receiver needs time to lock into the new frequency. Many abandon their manifestations at this crucial stage, not understanding that temporary static is part of the stabilization process. The universe is always broadcasting your desired reality, but you must hold steady at its frequency long enough for it to become your dominant experience. Beatrice learned this truth when she manifested her dream position at a prestigious firm. Initially, everything aligned perfectly. The job offer arrived, her office overlooked the city, her colleagues welcomed her warmly. But as weeks passed, old doubts crept in. She began questioning her worthiness, her capabilities. Soon, she found herself making small mistakes, then larger ones, until she was called into her supervisor's office and let go. In her darkness, she realized her consciousness had slipped back to its old frequency. Rather than dwelling in defeat, she understood she needed only to retune herself to the frequency of success and hold it. She began a daily practice of energetic alignment, refusing to let temporary setbacks knock her off course. Within months, an even better position opened at a more prestigious firm. This time, she knew how to stay locked into her new reality. Frequency stabilization practice. Begin each morning with this ancient affirmation sequence, designed to lock in your new vibrational state. Stand facing the rising sun. Take 3 deep breaths, feeling yourself rooted in your new reality. Then speak these words with unwavering conviction. I am anchored in my highest timeline. My energy field is sealed and protected. I choose this reality with every breath. What I have called forth is already mine. I am stable in my new frequency. So it is, so it shall remain. Repeat this sequence 3 times, feeling each word resonating through your entire being. Return to this practice whenever you sense yourself wavering from your chosen reality. Chapter 14. The Power of Scripting. In a quiet corner of an ancient library, Dorothy traced her fingers along dusty shelves until they came to rest on a leather-bound volume that seemed to pulse with its own energy. As she opened its weathered pages, her breath caught. There, written in elegant script, were the events of her life, including moments yet to unfold. The power to script your reality exists within you at this very moment. Each thought you hold, each word you speak, writes itself into the fabric of existence. The universe responds not just to your energy, but to the stories you tell yourself about who you are and what is possible. Your life unfolds as an endless scroll, and you hold the quill. With each stroke of thought, each written declaration, you inscribe your future into being. This is not mere metaphor. It is the foundational law of creation itself. When you put pen to paper with clear intention, you activate the ancient art of reality scripting. Through this sacred act, you bypass the limitations of linear time, reaching into the quantum field where all possibilities exist simultaneously. Ernest, a humble merchant, discovered this truth when he found himself at the lowest point of his trading career. One evening, guided by an inner knowing, he sat at his desk and wrote a letter dated 1 year into the future. In it, he described in vivid detail the thriving business he had built, the lives he had touched, and the abundance that flowed effortlessly through his endeavors. He sealed this letter and placed it in his drawer, but something had already shifted in the fabric of reality. Day by day, opportunities began appearing that aligned with his written vision. Connections formed, doors opened, and within months, his business transformed exactly as he had scripted. Sacred scripting practice. Find a quiet space as the moon rises. Light a white candle and take 3 deep breaths to center yourself. With a new pen and clean paper, date your entry 1 year from today. Begin writing as though you are already living in your desired reality. Describe your day in rich detail, the sights, sounds, feelings, and experiences that surround you in this new timeline. Write until you feel the reality of your words coursing through your being. Seal your script with these ancient words of power. As I have written, so it shall be. These words are now alive within me. This reality I claim as mine, now manifesting in divine time. Store your script in a sacred place, knowing that the moment you set down your pen, the universe began rearranging itself to match your written reality. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 15. Dreams, Signs, and Synchronicities. In the depths of night, Agatha sat before her collection of dream journals, each page filled with symbols and messages from the sleeping world. As she traced the recurring patterns, a white dove, a golden key, a spiral staircase, she noticed these very symbols manifesting in her waking hours. The dove appeared outside her window, the key emerged from an old coat pocket, and a spiral staircase revealed itself in an ancient building she had never noticed before. The universe speaks in a language more ancient than words. As you walk the path of reality shifting, signs and symbols weave themselves into the tapestry of your daily life. These are not mere coincidences, but confirmations, sacred messages indicating that your consciousness is aligning with new possibilities. When you begin to shift, the universe responds with a symphony of synchronicities. Numbers repeat themselves, certain words catch your attention, and meaningful encounters occur at precisely the right moment. These signs serve as bridges between your current reality and the one you are stepping into. Along the shores of a distant coast, Walter cast his nets day after day, haunted by visions of an ethereal silver fish with golden fins. Night after night, this creature swam through his dreams, always just beyond his reach. One morning he noticed a peculiar pattern in the clouds. They formed the exact shape of his dream fish. Following this sign, he sailed to waters he had never explored before. There, in waters that seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly light, the very fish from his dreams swam into his net. The language of synchronicity speaks through dreams, signs, and meaningful coincidences. These messages serve as confirmation that you are aligned with your chosen reality. Each synchronicity is a gentle nod from the universe acknowledging your shift in consciousness. Sacred symbol tracking practice. Before sleep, place a journal beside your bed. As you drift into slumber, whisper this ancient invocation. Through dreams and signs, show me the way. Guide my path both night and day. And in symbols clear and messages bright, reveal the path that serves my highest light. Upon waking, record any dreams, symbols, or patterns that emerged in your sleep. Throughout your day, remain attuned to signs that mirror these dream symbols. Note any recurring numbers, words, or meaningful coincidences that cross your path. Create a special section in your journal titled Messages from the Shift. Here, document every synchronicity, no matter how small it may seem. Draw or describe the symbols you encounter, noting the circumstances of their appearance and the feelings they evoke within you. Chapter 16. Releasing Resistance. In the vastness of the open sea, Frederick gripped his ship's wheel with white knuckles, fighting against waves that threatened to overwhelm his vessel. For hours he struggled, muscles straining, until exhaustion forced him to loosen his hold. In that moment of surrender, he discovered something remarkable. The ship moved more smoothly when he allowed the currents to guide its path. The art of shifting reality requires a paradoxical truth. The more you strain to control outcomes, the more they elude you. When you release your grip on how things must unfold, the universe opens pathways you could never have imagined. Your desires are like seeds planted in fertile soil. While intention sets the course, attempting to force the seed to grow only disturbs its natural emergence. Trust in the divine timing that governs all things. The universe knows the perfect moment for each blessing to manifest. Consider how the moon pulls the tides without effort, how flowers bloom without striving, how birds find their way home without maps. These natural rhythms reveal the power of allowing rather than forcing. Your shift occurs not through rigid control, but through graceful surrender to the flow of universal energy. Susan spent years pursuing love, crafting elaborate plans and perfect scenarios. Each attempt left her feeling more distant from her heart's desire. One evening, gazing at the stars, she released her desperate search. "The universe knows the way," she whispered, letting go of her timeline and expectations. Within weeks, love found her in ways more beautiful than she had imagined. The practice of surrender does not mean abandoning your dreams. Rather, it means trusting that the universe's plan for their fulfillment exceeds your limited vision. When you release attachment to specific outcomes, you open yourself to infinite possibilities. Sacred Release Ritual. Find a quiet space near flowing water, a stream, ocean, or even a fountain. Hold a leaf or flower in your hands. Into this natural object, whisper all your attachments, expectations, and need for control. Speak your deepest desires, then add these words. I release my grip on how these dreams must come to be. I trust in divine timing and perfect unfolding. As I let go, I allow magic beyond my imagination to flow into my life. Place your leaf or flower upon the water, watching as it flows away. Feel the lightness that comes with surrender, knowing that what is meant for you cannot miss you. Chapter 17. The Invisible Bridge. In a dimly lit workshop at the edge of town, James hunched over his workbench, surrounded by scattered pieces of his invention. Night after night, he pieced together his vision, though the path to its completion seemed impossible. His hands trembled as he connected delicate wires, wondering how this creation would ever reach the world. When you align yourself with a new reality, the universe begins its mysterious dance of arrangement. Like an unseen choreographer, it moves people, circumstances, and opportunities into position, often in ways your logical mind could never have devised. The ancient wisdom speaks of a divine orchestration that activates the moment you make an unwavering choice. You need not see every step of the journey. You need only take the first step with absolute conviction. As you move forward, reality reshapes itself around your decision. Watch how the pieces fall into place. A chance encounter leads to a vital connection. A random conversation reveals the missing piece. An unexpected turn of events opens doors that seemed forever closed. These are not coincidences, but the universe's response to your energetic shift. Eleanor faced this truth when she resigned from her secure position to pursue her calling as a healer. She had no clients, no practice, and no clear direction, only an unshakable knowing. Within days, a former colleague mentioned a space for rent. A week later, a retired healer offered her entire client list. The universe had already begun arranging her success before she took her first step. Bridge of Incidents Practice. Take a moment now to recall 3 instances when life mysteriously arranged itself in your favor. Remember times when an unexpected meeting led to a breakthrough. A seeming obstacle revealed a better path. Support appeared precisely when needed. Write these moments in detail, noting how the universe orchestrated events beyond your conscious planning. Feel the truth of how reality has always been working in your favor, even when you couldn't see it. Close your eyes and whisper, "I trust in the perfect arrangement of all things. As I step forward, the universe clears my path." Chapter 18. The Shift is Now. In a small cafe between cobblestone streets, Catherine wiped the same counter for the 100th time, her dreams of expansion trapped in the words someday and when. Each morning she opened her doors to the same routine, telling herself that the right moment for growth would eventually arrive. Until one morning when an enigmatic traveler sat at her counter, observing her with knowing eyes. "Time," he said, sipping his tea, "is merely a construct of thought. Your future exists now, if you dare to live it. The universe operates in the eternal present. When you wait for circumstances to align, you remain suspended in a state of waiting. The shift into a new reality demands that you embody it now, in this moment, without hesitation or doubt. Your desired reality already exists. By acting as though you have already arrived, you align your energy with that reality, drawing it into your present experience. Every action, thought, and decision must reflect the version of you who has already achieved your desires. In the bustling financial district, George understood this truth when he approached his dream company. Though he held no official position, he carried himself with the quiet confidence of someone who already belonged. He spoke of his contributions not as possibilities but as certainties. His energy matched not where he was, but where he knew himself to be. Within weeks, the company created a position specifically for him. Reality had no choice but to match his inner knowing. Present moment activation. Take out your journal and write down 3 areas where you have been waiting for the right time. For each, identify the specific action your future self would take right now. Write I am statements that align with this version of you. Before the sun sets today, take one decisive action that your future self would take. Close your eyes and declare, "I step into my power now, for now is all there ever is. I am already that which I seek to become." Stand up and move through your space as though your desired reality is already here. Let your posture, voice, and decisions reflect this truth. The future exists only in the eternal now. Chapter 19. The Instant Shift. In the halls of a prestigious university, Philip covered blackboards with endless equations, seeking to understand the nature of time through mathematics. Each formula led to another, yet the ultimate answer eluded him. His calculations suggested something impossible, that time itself might be malleable. One afternoon, as autumn leaves danced outside his window, a Zen monk appeared in his doorway. Without a word, the monk took a piece of chalk and drew a single circle on the board, erasing all of Philip's complex equations. Time, the monk said, is not a line from past to future. It is a point of infinite possibility existing all at once. You too have been taught to see time as linear, a steady progression from what was to what will be. Yet this perception keeps you bound to gradual change when quantum leaps are your birthright. The universe does not require slow transitions. In the quantum field, transformation happens in an instant. Your reality shifts the moment you truly accept that all possibilities exist simultaneously. When you collapse time through pure belief, you step instantly into any reality you choose. This is not magic, it is the natural law of consciousness expressing itself through the quantum field. In a small cottage by the sea, Margaret had spent years slowly working toward her dreams. One morning, she woke to this truth. Her future self existed now, not in some distant time. In that moment of recognition, everything shifted. The book she had struggled to write for years flowed through her in days. Opportunities she had long sought suddenly appeared, as if they had always been waiting. The universe responds not to time, but to consciousness. When you collapse the illusion of linear progression, you free yourself to quantum leap into any reality you choose. This truth has existed in ancient wisdom. Enlightenment happens in an instant when the mind finally accepts what is already so. Quantum leap meditation. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Feel the weight of linear time dissolving around you. Breathe deeply and declare, I release the illusion of gradual change. All possibilities exist now. Visualize your desired reality as a point of light before you. Not in the future, but here in this eternal moment. Feel yourself merging with this light, becoming one with your chosen reality. With absolute certainty, know that this shift is happening now, not tomorrow, not gradually, but in this very instant. Let your entire being resonate with the declaration, I am already there. Time collapses into the eternal now. My transformation is complete. Open your eyes knowing that you have already quantum leaped. Your new reality is not waiting, it is here. Chapter 20. Unwavering Faith. Through the dense mountain mist, Lawrence pressed forward, each step a testament to his unwavering faith. The peak remained hidden, shrouded in clouds that threatened to disorient even the most seasoned climber. Yet he continued, guided not by sight but by an inner knowing that transcended physical evidence. You stand now at a similar precipice. The reality you seek may not yet be visible to your physical eyes, but your inner vision must remain clear and steady. Those who waver between old and new realities find themselves caught in a perpetual state of shifting, never fully manifesting either world. The law of permanence dictates that what you hold steadfast in consciousness must materialize in form. It is not enough to glimpse your desired reality. You must live in absolute conviction of its presence even when external circumstances suggest otherwise. This unwavering faith becomes the bridge between potential and manifestation. In a small coastal town, Abigail dreamed of opening a healing center. Though her first location fell through and skeptics questioned her vision, she held firm to the feeling of running a thriving practice. She walked the streets as if her center already existed, spoke of it as an absolute certainty, and lived each day anchored in its reality. Within months, a perfect building appeared, one far superior to her original plan. The universe had rearranged itself to match her unwavering belief. Your new reality requires this same level of dedication. Each morning, you must choose again to live from the end result, regardless of what your senses report. This is not blind faith, but rather a profound understanding that consciousness precedes manifestation. Sacred declaration practice. Find a quiet moment at sunrise. Light a candle to symbolize your unwavering commitment. Take 3 deep breaths, centering yourself in the knowing that your desired reality already exists. On a piece of parchment, write your declaration of faith, beginning with the words, "I stand firm in the absolute knowing that." Speak your declaration aloud 3 times, feeling the truth of each word resonating through your being. Place this declaration where you will see it daily, and each morning, renew your commitment by reading it with the same conviction as the first time. Let this become your morning ritual, a sacred recommitment to the reality you have chosen, until it becomes as natural as breathing. Act 3. Mastering the Shift and Living Beyond Limits. Chapter 21. The Reality Shifter's Mindset. In the soft light of dawn, Elliot stood before his blank canvas, brush trembling slightly in his hand. For hours, he had attempted to capture the vision in his mind, yet each hesitant stroke fell short of his intention. As doubt clouded his mind, the colors seemed to dim, the lines wavered, and the essence he sought remained elusive. Then something within him shifted. Taking a deep breath, he set down his brush and closed his eyes. When he opened them again, he no longer approached the canvas as one seeking permission. He stood before it as a master of creation. His next brushstroke flowed with absolute certainty, and beneath his hand, the painting emerged as if it had always existed, waiting to be revealed. You too stand before the canvas of reality, and like Elliot, your power to shift lies not in technique but in certainty. When you approach reality with hesitation, asking, "Can I?" or "Will this work?" Zerania, we paints trembling hands. But when you move through the world with the knowing that reality bends to your consciousness, your very presence becomes a force of creation. This truth became evident in the tale of Rose, a woman who had studied countless methods of manifestation. She had mastered visualization, practiced affirmations diligently, and followed every technique she discovered. Yet her reality remained unchanged until she understood the missing element. She was still acting as someone trying to shift rather than embodying one who had already shifted. The moment Rose ceased being a student of reality shifting and claimed her identity as a master of reality, everything transformed. She no longer needed to remember techniques or follow specific steps. Her mere presence became an act of creation because she had fully embraced her true identity as one who shapes reality. Self-inquiry practice. Sit in silence and ask yourself, what beliefs about my power to shift reality still linger in my consciousness? For each limiting belief that surfaces, trace it to its root. When did you first accept this limitation as truth? Now, speaking with the authority of your higher self, declare, I release all beliefs that diminish my power to shape reality. Feel the energy of absolute knowing fill your being as you affirm, I am not learning to shift reality. I am a master of reality shifting, and this is my natural state. Let each breath dissolve the boundary between who you think you are and who you truly are, one whose consciousness shapes the very fabric of existence. Feel the ancient power coursing through your being with every inhalation, every exhalation bringing you closer to this eternal truth. As your breath flows like a sacred river, washing away the illusions of limitation, remember that you are not separate from the creative force of the universe. You are its living expression, molding reality with each thought, each intention, each moment of awareness. Chapter 22. The Mirror Effect. In the heart of an ancient city, Nathaniel crafted keys that opened doors, yet he remained blind to the greatest lock of all, the one within his own mind. Each morning, he would peer into his workshop mirror, adjusting his appearance while silently willing his circumstances to change. Day after day, he waited for the world to shift first, not realizing he held the master key all along. One morning, as sunlight streamed through his window, Nathaniel noticed something peculiar. As he adjusted his mirror's angle, the reflection changed instantly, not gradually, not with effort, but in perfect synchronicity with his movement. In that simple moment, truth unveiled itself. The outer world responds immediately to inner adjustments. You see, the mirror never argues with your movement. It never waits to reflect what stands before it. In the same way, reality mirrors your inner state with unwavering precision. When you shift within, the outer world must, by universal law, reflect that change. This truth manifested powerfully in Clara's experience. For years, she had tried to change her circumstances by manipulating external conditions. But when she finally understood the mirror principle, she turned her attention inward. She began living as though her desired reality was already present, and soon noticed subtle yet unmistakable changes. First, conversations shifted. People began treating her differently, responding to an energy they could sense but couldn't explain. Then opportunities appeared, small at first. A chance meeting, an unexpected invitation, a sudden insight. These were not coincidences but reflections of her inner shift taking form in the physical world. The outer world must conform to your inner reality. This is cosmic law. Just as a mirror cannot help but reflect what stands before it, reality cannot help but mirror your consciousness. Your role is not to force the reflection to change, but to be the change you wish to see reflected. Mirror reflection practice. Find a quiet space with a mirror. Gaze at your reflection and observe recent changes in your external world, new opportunities, shifted relationships, unexpected synchronicities. Write each observation as evidence that your consciousness is already creating change. As you write, feel the truth that these outer changes are not random occurrences, but faithful reflections of your inner shift. Let each synchronicity strengthen your knowing that reality moves in perfect harmony with your consciousness. Remember, the mirror never needs convincing to reflect what stands before it. Similarly, reality needs no persuasion to reflect your inner state. It simply is the law of existence, as natural as light casting shadows, as certain as dawn following night. Chapter 23. The Magnetic Self. In the heart of an ancient town, Walter's clockmaking shop hummed with the gentle rhythm of countless timepieces. Each morning he would observe the intricate dance of gears, some moving with graceful ease, others grinding against their neighbors with stubborn resistance. You possess this same wisdom within your own being. Like Walter's revelation among his beloved timepieces, the universe operates through natural alignment rather than force. When you push against life's flow, you create resistance. When you align with your true nature, reality bends toward you like metal to a magnet. Walter noticed that the most efficient mechanisms were those where each component found its perfect rhythm. No gear needed to strain. Their very nature drew them into harmonious motion. This truth mirrors the art of manifestation. It flows not from endless effort, but from becoming the natural embodiment of what you seek. In the depths of winter, Josephine discovered this principle in her own life. Once trapped in the cycle of chasing success, she learned to simply be successful in her thoughts, feelings, and actions. As she shifted her state of being, opportunities began appearing without effort. Business proposals landed on her desk unsolicited. Influential connections emerged spontaneously. Her wealth grew not through force, but through natural magnetism. The secret lies not in doing more, but in being more. When you embody the energy of what you desire, you become a living magnet for its manifestation. Like a flower naturally turning toward the sun, your aligned state draws your desires toward you. Living Magnet Practice. For the next 24 hours, release all forcing, striving, and chasing. Instead, move through your day as though you are already a natural magnet for your desires. Notice how differently you walk, speak, and interact when you trust in your magnetic power rather than relying on effort. Throughout this period, whenever you catch yourself pushing or striving, pause and ask, how would I move through this moment if I were naturally magnetic to my desires? Then adjust your state accordingly, allowing your very presence to attract rather than chase. This practice awakens your natural magnetism, transforming you from one who seeks into one who attracts through the pure power of being. As you embody this state of effortless attraction, you'll find that what once seemed distant now flows toward you with divine timing. Your very essence becomes a beacon, drawing to you those experiences and manifestations that align with your highest good, all without the strain of forcing or the exhaustion of endless pursuit. Chapter 24. Time Bending. In a small village among rolling hills, Gerald spent his days surrounded by the steady tick of countless timepieces. Each morning he would wind his precious watches with meticulous precision, believing that time moved in rigid, unchangeable patterns. Until one day, a mysterious traveler entered his shop. The stranger's eyes held an ancient wisdom as he examined Gerald's collection. "These are beautiful instruments," he said, "but they measure only the illusion of time, not its essence." The traveler shared a truth that would forever change Gerald's perception. Time is not a fixed river flowing in one direction, but a vast ocean responding to the currents of consciousness. Through focused intention and elevated awareness, one could navigate these waters at will. Time, in its purest form, exists as a canvas for your creative expression. When you release your grip on linear thinking, you discover that manifestation need not follow conventional patterns of cause and effect. Your consciousness shapes the very fabric of time itself. Eleanor, a young artist, discovered this truth while pursuing her dreams of opening a gallery. For years, she had confined herself to a rigid timeline, believing success must follow a predetermined sequence of events. But when she learned to release her attachment to when and how long, the universe began orchestrating events with miraculous precision. She noticed that when she immersed herself fully in her craft, hours would pass like minutes. When she aligned with the flow of inspiration, opportunities appeared at precisely the right moment, often far sooner than her logical mind had deemed possible. The key to mastering divine timing lies not in controlling time, but in dancing with it. When you align your consciousness with the natural rhythm of the universe, time becomes fluid, bending to accommodate your highest intentions. Sacred time-shifting practice. Choose a specific task or activity for this exercise. As you begin, consciously shift your awareness to the present moment. Notice how time feels when you bring your full attention to what you're doing. Now experiment with your perception of time. During one session, intend for time to slow down. Feel each moment expanding, creating space for deeper awareness. In another session, allow time to accelerate, feeling the natural flow and momentum of increased speed. Observe how your consciousness affects the experience of time. Notice how releasing rigid expectations about timing allows manifestations to unfold in perfect divine order. This practice awakens your ability to work with time as a malleable force rather than being bound by its apparent limitations. As you deepen this awareness, you'll discover that time is not the fixed construct you once believed it to be, but rather a fluid medium that responds to your state of consciousness. When you release your attachment to specific time frames, you create space for the universe to orchestrate events in ways far more magnificent than your limited mind could have planned. Trust in this process, for it connects you to the eternal now, where all possibilities exist simultaneously. Chapter 25: Effortless Flow. In a village beside a rushing river, Francis spent his days wrestling with the waters, muscles straining against the current as he cast his nets. Each morning brought the same exhausting battle, man versus nature, will against force. His catches grew smaller, his spirit more weary, until one dawn changed everything. The river's voice whispered ancient wisdom. Why do you fight what wishes to support you? In that moment, Francis observed how the fish themselves moved, not against the flow, but within it, finding the paths of least resistance. When he finally surrendered his struggle and allowed the current to guide his boat, his nets filled effortlessly. You too have been fighting against the natural flow of life, believing that manifestation requires strain and effort. Yet the universe operates through the law of least resistance. When you release the need to control every outcome, to force every result, reality shifts with remarkable ease. Margaret, a merchant's daughter, once believed success meant pushing through obstacles with sheer determination. Each day became a battlefield as she attempted to bend circumstances to her will. Her breakthrough came when she discovered that letting go was not giving up. It was opening up to a greater intelligence. She learned to read the signs life presented, to move when doors opened naturally, and to rest when they remained closed. Rather than forcing her way through walls, she found herself dancing through doorways that appeared precisely when she relaxed her grip on how things should be. This wisdom extends to your own journey of reality shifting. The path of least resistance is not one of passivity, but of aligned action. When you flow with the natural current of life rather than against it, manifestation becomes effortless. Sacred surrender practice. Find a quiet space where you can be undisturbed. Bring to mind a situation where you've been struggling, pushing, or trying to force an outcome. Feel the tension this resistance has created in your body. Now imagine this struggle as a tightly clenched fist. Slowly, deliberately open your hand, allowing this symbolic gesture to represent your release of control. As your palm opens, feel the relief of surrendering this burden to the universe. Breathe deeply and affirm, I release the need to struggle. I allow life to unfold naturally and with ease. What is meant for me flows to me effortlessly. For the next 7 days, whenever you notice yourself straining against life's current, pause and repeat this gesture of opening your hand. Let this simple practice remind you that the universe operates through ease, not force. Your role is not to make things happen, but to allow them to unfold in divine timing and perfect order. Chapter 26: Transcending the Matrix. In a time-worn study filled with ancient texts and scrolls, Howard sat with his young grandson, their shadows dancing in candlelight. "What you see as solid walls," he whispered, "are but veils of thought, woven from generations of accepted beliefs. You have inherited a world of invisible barriers, boundaries drawn not by natural law, but by collective agreement. These perceived limitations shape your reality like water fills a vessel, yet they exist only because humanity has breathed life into them through unwavering belief. The truth lies deeper than what your eyes perceive. Every constraint that seems to hold you in place is merely a story, passed down through time, accepted without question. These stories whisper, 'This is how far you can go. This is what's possible for someone like you. This is all you can expect from life.' Yet those who glimpse behind the curtain of reality understand. These limitations are as substantial as morning mist, disappearing the moment you cease believing in their power. Amelia was born into a lineage of modest merchants, each generation accepting their predetermined place in life's grand tapestry. "We are simple folk," they would say, "and simple folk we shall remain." But one morning, as she watched the sun pierce through clouds, she saw through the illusion that had bound her family for generations. In that moment of clarity, she realized that accepting her predetermined path was a choice, not a destiny. With each step beyond the boundaries of her inherited beliefs, reality reshaped itself around her expanding consciousness. The world responded not to what her family believed was possible, but to what she knew to be true. Mental liberation practice. Sit in complete stillness with a blank piece of parchment before you. Write down 3 beliefs about your capabilities or place in life that you've never questioned. These might be thoughts about your potential, your worth, or what's possible for someone of your background. Next to each belief, inscribe this question: who taught me this truth, and what if it isn't mine to carry? Close your eyes and envision these beliefs as chains dissolving into light. Feel the weightlessness of possibility that remains when inherited limitations fall away. For 7 days, challenge one societal belief that has felt immovable. Act in direct opposition to this limitation, no matter how deeply ingrained it may be. Watch as reality adjusts to match your expanded awareness. Chapter 27. Shifting Others. In the stillness of night, Edwin kept his vigil atop the lighthouse tower. Night after night, he simply tended his light, never once calling out to the ships that passed. Yet through his unwavering presence, countless vessels found safe passage through treacherous waters. You are that lighthouse now. As you step into your transformed state of being, you need not convince others of your path. Your very presence becomes a beacon that naturally guides those ready to see. When you shift into a higher frequency of existence, you create an energetic field around you, a sphere of influence that touches all who enter it. This is not about changing others or forcing them to understand your journey. It is about holding steady in your truth and allowing the natural law of resonance to unfold. Those who vibrate at a similar frequency will be drawn closer, while others may drift toward shores better suited to their current state of awareness. This is the gentle power of authentic transformation. It requires no persuasion, no explanation, no justification. Abigail discovered this truth when she began honoring her inner wisdom. As she stopped dimming her light to make others comfortable, something remarkable occurred. Some friends stepped back, creating space for new connections that matched her elevated consciousness. Her family members either rose to meet her new energy or found themselves naturally spending less time in her presence. She never spoke of her transformation, never insisted others change. Like a flower turning toward the sun, she simply became more fully herself. And in doing so, she gave silent permission for others to do the same. The universe operates through this law of resonance. When you shift your reality, you create ripples in the cosmic fabric that touch countless lives. Some will be inspired by your example, others will question their own limitations, and still others will seek different paths. All of these responses are perfect, for they serve the highest good of each soul's journey. Ripple effect awareness practice. For 7 days, maintain complete focus on your own transformation without attempting to influence others. Each evening, record in your journal the subtle shifts you observe in those around you. Notice who draws closer, who steps back, who begins questioning their own beliefs. Observe these changes with detachment, understanding that each person's response is part of their own sacred journey. Your task is not to create the ripples, but to witness how your authentic presence naturally affects the field of reality around you. Remember, the most powerful transformations happen not through force, but through the silent example of one who has remembered their true nature. Chapter 28. The Art of Reshifting. In the dimly lit halls of an ancient chess club, Charles sat before a weathered board, his fingers hovering over pieces that held infinite possibilities. With each move, he witnessed how the entire game transformed, how one shift created a cascade of new potential futures. You too stand before the infinite game of existence. Like Charles, you must understand that mastery lies not in making a single perfect move, but in the art of continuous adaptation. Reality shifting is not merely about jumping from one state to another. It is about developing the wisdom to flow with the ever-expanding nature of your desires. As your consciousness expands, so too will your vision of what is possible. What you desire today may evolve tomorrow, and this is the natural order of spiritual growth. The universe responds not to rigid plans, but to the fluid dance of your expanding awareness. In a quiet village, Evelyn owned a small bookshop. She began by shifting into a reality where her shop flourished. Yet as success arrived, she felt a new stirring in her soul, a desire to write her own stories. Rather than resist this evolution, she learned to adapt her reality-shifting practice. Her bookshop became not just a place of commerce, but a sanctuary for writers, and eventually the birthplace of her own literary works. She discovered that each shift created a foundation for the next, like stepping stones across a flowing river. The key was not to cling to any single vision, but to remain open to the natural expansion of her dreams. Your power lies in this same flexibility, the ability to honor both your current vision and its inevitable evolution. As you step into one reality, new possibilities will reveal themselves, inviting you to expand even further. Flexible reality shifting practice. Sit in peaceful contemplation and envision your desired reality. Now allow yourself to sense how this achievement might naturally lead to new inspirations. Without abandoning your current shift, open your awareness to these emerging possibilities. Write down your primary shift, then beneath it list 3 potential expansions that might naturally follow. Each day, spend time feeling into both your immediate shift and these expanded visions, allowing them to dance together in your consciousness. This practice teaches you to remain grounded in your current manifestation while staying open to the infinite possibilities that await beyond it. Like a master chess player, you learn to see not just one move ahead, but the beautiful unfolding of many moves to come. Chapter 29. Living as the infinite being you are. In the crisp dawn air, Frederick stood atop what he had long believed would be his greatest achievement. The mountain peak he had dreamed of conquering now rested beneath his feet. Yet as the morning mist cleared, his eyes widened at the sight before him. An endless range of peaks stretched toward the horizon, each one beckoning with new possibilities. You too stand at such a moment of revelation. The version of yourself you once thought was the pinnacle is merely a stepping stone to greater heights. Just as Frederick discovered that no peak marked the end of his journey, you are awakening to the truth that no single achievement defines your limits. The universe speaks through such moments, revealing that your current vision, no matter how grand, is but a fragment of your true potential. Each summit you reach offers a view of greater possibilities. Each achievement opens the door to grander adventures. In a quiet valley town, Matilda ran a small healing practice. For years, she believed that serving her local community was the height of her calling. One day, while tending to a traveling mystic, she glimpsed a vision of herself teaching thousands, writing books that would transform lives across continents. Instead of shrinking from this expanded vision, she allowed it to fill her being. Her practice evolved beyond the confines of her small town, touching lives she had never imagined reaching. The truth that Matilda discovered, and that you must now embrace, is that you are not a finite being working toward a fixed destination. You are an infinite expression of the universe, constantly unfolding into greater versions of yourself. Limitless living practice. Find a quiet space where you can expand beyond your current boundaries. Close your eyes and envision the reality you have been working to create. Now allow yourself to look beyond it. What lies further? What grander version calls to you? Take 3 deep breaths, and with each exhale, let go of any self-imposed limitations. Feel yourself expanding beyond your current vision. See yourself stepping into an even more magnificent expression of your potential. Write down this expanded vision, making it twice as grand as what you previously imagined. Let this practice remind you that you are not bound by any single version of yourself. Like Frederick's endless mountain range, your potential stretches far beyond what your eyes can currently see. Chapter 30. The Grand Revelation. In the depths of his candle-lit laboratory, George stood before an array of ancient texts and gleaming vessels. For decades, he had searched for the philosopher's stone, that mystical substance said to transform base metals into gold. Night after night, he mixed elements and muttered incantations, seeking the elusive formula that would unlock ultimate transformation. You now stand where George once stood, believing that somewhere, hidden in obscure teachings or complex rituals, lies the key to shifting your reality. Yet as George discovered on that fateful night, the truth is both simpler and more powerful than any external formula. As he gazed into a shimmering solution, George saw not his reflection, but the truth that had always been there. The power of transformation resided not in his vessels and potions, but in his own consciousness. The ability to transmute reality was not hidden in ancient scrolls. It lived in his choice to see the world differently. This revelation echoes through the ages. You possess the innate power to shape reality. Every moment presents an opportunity to choose anew, to step into a different stream of existence. The fluid nature of reality responds not to complex rituals, but to your conscious decision to shift. In a bustling market square, Harriet sold flowers, dreaming of owning the grand flower shop across the street. One morning, she stopped merely dreaming and made a choice. She began moving through the world as though the shop were already hers. She arranged her humble cart with the same care she would give to a grand storefront. She treated each customer as though they stood in her future shop. Within months, reality reshaped itself around her unwavering choice, and the keys to the shop across the street found their way into her hands. Reality creation practice. Stand in a quiet space and feel the weight of this moment. This is your point of power, the eternal now where all possibilities converge. Take 3 deliberate breaths, and with each one, feel yourself releasing attachment to your current timeline. Now make your choice, declare aloud, "I choose," state your new reality, and step fully into this timeline now. Take one physical step forward as you make this declaration, symbolically stepping into your chosen reality. Write your declaration on a piece of paper, seal it in an envelope, and place it where you'll see it daily. Each morning, touch this envelope and reaffirm your choice to live in this new timeline. Your reality will shift not because you found a secret formula, but because you finally claimed your power to choose. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. Through the ages, masters and sages have whispered of a power that lies dormant within each soul, the power to reshape reality itself. As you reach these final pages, understand that you have not merely read a book. You have activated an ancient knowing that has always resided within you. The merchant who finally opens his shop, the artist who at last picks up her brush, the healer who steps into their gift. These are not merely stories of transformation. They are mirrors reflecting the truth of what becomes possible when one awakens to their innate power to shift reality. You stand now at this sacred threshold. The wisdom contained in these pages has already begun its work within you. Perhaps you've noticed small changes, synchronicities appearing more frequently, opportunities arising unexpectedly, reality bending more easily to your intentions. These are not coincidences, but confirmations of your awakening. This moment marks not an ending, but a beginning. Each principle you've encountered, each practice you've embraced, has been preparing you for this. The moment you step fully into your power as a conscious creator of reality. The shift is not a distant goal to be achieved. It is happening now, with every breath you take. You are no longer bound by the limitations of your past self. You have remembered who you truly are, a being of infinite potential, capable of shaping reality through the power of consciousness itself. As you close these pages, know that you carry within you a truth that has transformed seekers throughout time. Reality is not happening to you. It is responding to you. Every moment presents a new opportunity to choose, to shift, to step into the existence that calls to your soul. You have always been the creator of your reality. Now you are awake to this truth. The power you sought was never in the words of this book. It was in the awakening these teachings stirred within you. The shift is not something you do. It is what you become when you remember your true nature. Move forward now, fully conscious of your power. Each choice you make, each thought you think, each feeling you embrace, shapes the reality that unfolds before you. The journey has not ended. It has only just begun. If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.